There's a question that follows you around in sim racing, and you only really ask it on certain nights with a certain track loaded when the rest of the world has gone quiet. Is this as good as it gets? A quick confession to start with. I haven't put the VR headset on in a long time. There's a video on this channel a while back where I tried it, loved it, and casually mentioned that VR gives me horrific migraines. So I haven't been back. Common sense mostly. But this week is Ring Meister, the AMG GT4, the Nordschleife, and there's a small voice in the back of my head that says, if you're gonna put yourself through it for this. Qualifying puts me 14th. Headset on, deep breath, off we go. Lights out, and before we've even crossed the start line, the Nordschleife welcomes us back the way it always does. A car ahead gets hit, slides sideways across the track, and for a moment, VR takes my brain to a place monitors have never quite taken it. A legitimate jump scare. He straightens up, somehow caught by the same car that spun him. I'm back on the accelerator and threading through the debris. The first couple of corners I take back a position from a Porsche, one that I'd lost in the Carnage. There's already a battle behind me at Arenberg, and out of it a BMW emerges in my mirrors. It's worth noting here that I did jump back into the BMW briefly before this race, and I was about 2 seconds a lap faster straight away. But it felt like driving a stranger's car. The wheel is heavier and I didn't want to start messing with the force feedback, so I went back to the AMG. Slower, but mine. Old faithful. The BMW, now sitting in my mirrors, is being driven presumably by someone who didn't bottle that decision the way I did. He starts to put on pressure, and I get a reminder of why I'm slower. A big slide before the next fast section, the rear of the AMG stepping out further than I'd like, and the BMW closes right onto my bumper. He's nearly taken out by an outlandish move from way back, but it seems the sim gods are on his side. Another punt and more shrapnel in the grass ahead. This feels less like a race and more like an obstacle course. A car ahead overshoots the exit of the carousel and loses a couple of places. I see the opportunity and go for the overtake. And here's where VR introduces itself properly. I'm way closer to him than I think. The car ahead pulls towards my side of the track, straight back onto the racing line, and I get just enough overlap to give him a small love tap from behind. Nothing dramatic, just an apologetic little nudge that wouldn't have happened on monitors. Because here's the thing. In VR, the car feels narrower than it does on triples. The depth is more real, but the width takes a few races to recalibrate your brain. The BMW is still on me. From experience, I know the BMW will be faster through the final section before the dotting a straight. And just as I'm thinking that, a BMW ahead of me goes for a long slide. I'm fully off the accelerator. BMW still breathing down my neck. I go for the inside of the car ahead. He, much like the last guy I nudged, turns back across the track to the racing line. I slam on the brakes and get a nudge of my own from behind. The AMG gets unsettled. I run a little deep and suddenly the BMW is alongside me into Klein's carousel. I have the inside. I keep it. He ends up battling with someone else and gives me a small amount of breathing room. Just enough that he can't quite get an overtake down the straight. The final corner I take defensively. The BMW stays behind. I cross the line in 12th, up 2 from the grid and in one piece. Not too shabby. 1 lap done, 2 to go. The first sector of lap 2 is where the gap between I know this track and I can actually drive this track right now makes itself known. A few small mistakes, none of them disastrous on their own, but all of them compounding, and the BMW behind me is patient enough to let me make all of them before he makes his move. We're side by side over the bridge. I lift into the right-hander. No point fighting this one. He's faster, I know he's faster, and putting both of us in the bushes for the sake of holding a position for half a corner isn't the trade. He goes through. I tuck in behind and immediately I have a new problem in my mirrors. A Porsche this time. The car's feeling unsettled, more than it usually does. Heavy braking zones, fast sweeping corners, the rear is taking much longer than usual to settle. I'm starting to wonder if the earlier nudge did something to the rear bumper. Maybe I'm just imagining it because I want a reason that isn't just that I'm slower. And then, coming out of Bergwerk, the same car that gave me the jump scare on the start line gives me my second jump scare of the race. He's sliding down the road in front of me. I think he's going left, I go right. He turns right, I go left. We miss each other by about 2 feet. A 4X warning lights up on my screen. iRacing's polite way of telling me I just had a contact I didn't actually have. I take the warning with the dignity of a man who knows sending iRacing a strongly worded netcode complaint definitely won't help. The car still feels off through the next sequence, and in my mirrors the Porsche's now started flashing his lights at me, which is genuinely one of the more ridiculous things you can do in a sim race. I'm not going to teleport off the racing line because you've discovered the high beam button. I am, in fact, currently doing the best I can with a car that is apparently allergic to corners. Karma, as it turns out, is real. He's so busy hunting for his headlight switch that he turns straight across the nose of a faster car coming up behind him and exits the race in a way that I think is genuinely fair. Perhaps the AMG should have flashed his lights. The Porsche problem solved, a BMW takes his place. Different driver, hopefully different temperament. I want to keep some space between us through the rest of the lap. The worry is the dotting a straight at the end. If he's right on me as we exit the final corner, he's got a toe that I don't have, and drag racing down a straight that long isn't a fight I'm going to win. It turns out he's not quite close enough to make a move on me, but he's closed the gap, and by the start of lap 3, he's right on my gearbox. 2 laps done, 1 to go. Whether it's the embarrassment of lap 2's first sector or just the brain finally catching up to the headset, lap 3 starts differently. I start actually hitting my markers. The gap to the BMW behind opens up slightly. The gap to the pack ahead starts to close. The driving stops feeling like a recovery operation and starts feeling like a race. Another crash, another dodge, and I notice with some interest that the BMW involved in this one is the very same BMW I waved past on lap 2 to avoid a fight, filing that away. The plan firms up. Close the gap to the cars ahead, not necessarily to overtake them, but to make sure I'm in their toe on the dotting a straight. And equally important, make sure the BMW behind me isn't in mine. Then, ahead of me, the BMW does it again. This time, he straight up rear ends another car and puts him into the wall. 2 incidents involving the same driver in the same race. I am quietly, smugly relieved that I waved him past on lap 2 instead of trying to fight him. The final few corners arrive. I take them clean, I keep the space behind me, The BMW in my mirrors stays at arm's length down the straight, but then I see shrapnel across the track ahead, and you'll never guess who's just caused his third accident of the race. The same guy, 3 crashes, 1 race, 1 lap. I'm not sure if I've ever seen anyone deliver such a consistent body of work in such a short window without affecting their race at all. The accident does give me one last opportunity though. The car directly involved is wounded, slow, vulnerable on the run to the line. I aim for the gap and go round the outside. I cross the line 0.004 of a second behind him. I finished 10th, up 4 from the grid. And if you thought there wasn't enough carnage in this one, allow me. The migraine arrived about 20 minutes later, the way it always does. I'm not going to dwell on it because nobody clicked this video for a chronic illness diary, but I should be honest about it because the question this video is meant to answer doesn't make sense without it. Is VR sim racing the peak? Maybe. On the right track, in the right race, at the right moment, I think it might be. And I think I'll do it again. The Ring, Spa, Le Mans, the handful of tracks where the experience genuinely earned its keep. Special occasions only, the kind of thing you save up for, knowing what it's going to cost you. So is this as good as sim racing gets? I don't know, but I think it's the closest I've ever come to wondering. I'll see you on the next one. Probably on monitors.